Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about filter context. So what is filter context and why do we need to understand filter context? Well, to take an example, we will be using the sales table, and let me grab the sales amount column and put it as a card. So it is showing that the sales amount is roughly 365 millions. Okay, that's easy to understand. Now, what would happen if I put it in a table? It would still show me the same number, but if I add the continent name to that table, watch what happens. It would show me the sales amount for each continent. So the sum of that sales amount column is still the same, 365 millions, but for each single continent, it is showing how much sales the company has made within that continent. And that is simply filter context. So in other words, filter context represents the filters which are applied to the visual before any calculations take place. Now let's add another column and watch what happens. So for example, let's add the product category column to this table. Now it would return a different value for each single row based on the filter context applied. So in other words, for example, for that first row that shows the continent as Asia and the product category as audio, it would go to the continent column and filter the table only for rows where it says Asia. Then it would go to the product category column and filter for only rows that say audio. Then it will go to the sales amount column and sum up all the rows after making these two filters and return the number that exists right here, which is the same number we have here, 1,068,000, which is exactly the number we have here. And it does that operation for each single value shown here. So same thing for Asia and cameras and camcorders. So it would still apply a filter for the entire table to show only rows that say Asia, and apply another filter here to show only rows that say camera and camcorders. Go to the sales column and sum up all the values after making these two filters. So that value would be 16,633,000, which is the same value we have right here. And it would do that operation for each single value calculated on that table. Now, what will happen if we convert this table to be a matrix, for example? So if we choose matrix from here and put continent name on the rows and product category names on the columns, it would still do the same thing. So for that cell over here, it would filter the table to show only rows that show Asia on the continent name and show audio on the product category and return this value, and do that same thing here, but this time it would filter for Europe, and same thing here, but this time it would filter for North America. And finally, for this total, it would only filter for the column it's referencing here. So this is the total for the column, and as the column says audio, then it would go to that table here and it would go to continents, remove all the filters applied to continents, and apply only a filter for the product name, show only audio products sold or products sold within the audio category. Then sum up all the sales for that product category and return this number over here, which is exactly the same number I have here. Same thing on the far right of the table. So it is showing the total for the row, as that first row references Asia. It would return to this table and remove all the filters applied for product name or any other filters applied, and just return sales for products sold within Asia. So the sum is 80 million, and this is the same we have here, 80,718,000. Now for the total of both rows and columns, it would return the total without applying any filtering at all. So this is what filter context is. Okay, now let's remove the columns and just keep continent name and sales amount. So what would happen, what do you think would happen if I add the product category as a filter? So instead of adding it directly to the table, what would happen if I add it as a filter and select one of these products? Well, it would apply the same concept. So first of all, it would filter the product category name, the column with the product category name. It would filter for the selected product categories. It could be one or even more than one, whichever we choose. Right? Then for each single cell on that table, it would filter for the continent name and finally return the corresponding value for each single continent. And on the total, it would return the total for all the product categories which are selected. Okay, now for now, let us remove this filter and let's add a date filter. Okay, so that filter is showing dates between the 1st of January 2007 till the 31st of December 2009. Let's say that we would like to show only sales for 2009. So in that case, watch what happens right now. The total sales is 365 millions, and the sales for Asia, Europe, and North America respectively are 80, 70, and 215 millions. Now if I filter for 2009 only and choose 1st of January 2009, well, the total sales would change, and also the total sales for each respective continent would change. Same thing as we have seen with the product category example. Now, what would happen if I use a column from the calendar table? So what would happen if I try to filter using the calendar table? Well, let's try it out. So let me remove this and try to filter using the calendar table. So I'll do the same thing. Right now, as no filters are applied, it is still showing 365 millions and showing total sales for each respective continent. Now if I select 1st of January 2009, what happened? Nothing has happened. Why is that? Well, that's because we do not have a relationship between the calendar table and the sales table. We need to make sure on the model page, we need to make sure that these two tables are connected. In other words, we need to make sure that if we would like to filter a table using a column on a different table, we need to make sure that these two tables are connected with the relationship. And also to make sure that the relationship direction allows for that type of filtering. Let me show you what I mean. So first of all, as I said earlier, we need to make sure that these two tables are connected. To do that, I would just drag the date column from the calendar table and drop it over the date key on the sales table. Now, as you can see, this is a one-to-many relationship. So the filtering direction goes from the calendar table to the sales table, meaning that the date column on the calendar table can filter the entire sales table. Now, if I go to the report page, well, this filter this date filter coming from the calendar table can now affect the columns on the sales table. So the total has changed, and the total for each respective continent has changed as well. And that is because there is a relationship, there is an active relationship, and the filtering direction allows for the filtering effect to move from the calendar table to the sales table. That's all we need to know for now about filtering context. In the next videos, I will show you how to change the filtering context using calculate, all except, and other functions in DAX. See you in the next video. If you like this type of content, subscribe to our channel, hit like, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And by the way, we also offer Power BI consulting and training services at www.powerbimaster.com. See you in the next video.